It's the first full week of the new year. I'm sitting in my office and I've had some time to think about the last 2 months of last year. Back in October, we began with a verse where Paul says, "Never be lacking in zeal." And I told you that zeal is energy or enthusiasm in pursuit of a cause. Never be lacking in zeal. And then I laid out a 6-month plan for you, and I want to talk about the first phase of that plan. Remember, we called it coming together. And did you ever do a wonderful job of coming together? You gathered in small groups for fellowship. Some of you reconnected with your small group after a long time of not meeting. Some of you met every week, but this was a special time to think about the life of our church. We planned a thanks and giving celebration, and I was amazed at your response. You really came together to provide a meal for a lot of people who would not have had a Thanksgiving meal otherwise. Over 150 of you volunteered, and that just blew me away. And then remember, we invited our guests to come back and have supper with us on the 3 Wednesday nights in December, and they came, doubling our Wednesday night attendance. We had great worship services during Advent, and you responded in a tremendous way. And then there was the free market. We thought the free market was going to be about this big, and God had bigger plans for us. And you volunteered tirelessly, and so many people were blessed. So, when I think back on the last 3 months of 2008 and the things that God did through you in this church, the word that comes to mind is wow, wow. But that was phase 1, coming together. And now I want to talk with you for just a minute about phase 2, which takes place in January and February. We call this phase learning together. We're going to spend 4 weeks working with this book by Bill Hybels that's called Just Walk Across the Room. It's a book about evangelism, but I don't want you to cringe when you hear the word evangelism, and that's what this study is about. Jesus says, as you are going into the world, make disciples, and we're going to learn how to do that painlessly, easily through this study. Now, if you are not in a small group yet, I want to encourage you to get in a small group because that's where this study is going to take place. I'll be introducing the week's material in worship, but you really need to get together during the week with a small group of folks to discuss it. And if you're not in a small group, you can call the church office, 321-2511. Dial extension 102, that's Susan Hudgens. She will be glad to help you. Susan will also be at a table near the Welcome Center on Sunday morning, a small group connection table we call it. And you can use either of those ways to find your way into a small group. I look forward to what God is going to do with us as we learn together during January and February.